Welcome to yet another episode of Gumzo Open Source Podcast. And today we are discussing a very interesting system called Dolibarr. And Dolibarr is an ERP system. Began as a one-man show by one Rodolfo. He's a PHP developer from France, and he started developing it from scratch in April 2002. And believe it or not, he began by writing it and versioning it in Savannah CVS or concurrent version system. So Savannah 202 was used normally like the way now developers are using GitHub. So it began there. And then another fellow called Jean-Louis Bergamo, who was among, they're called the April community. Those founders, those developers who began assisting in development of Dolibarr. This Gene guy begins creating a foundation management system. So what now would eventually now come to manage foundations and probably looking at that NGO space. So it began there. So after Jean-Louis Bergamo joined, they did their first commit in April 29, 2002. So a commit is like having an initial stage of a project where you say at this point this is where the project has reached. It's not a release, is just a state of development. So normally in software projects you'll go looking at the commits that tells you at this juncture this is where the system was, at this other juncture this is where we were. So in 2002 they did their first commit and they released their version 1 in September 2003. Then the project evolved. Rodolfo, the initial developer, won an award in 2003, and it was called the Free Software Awards, and in the category of enterprise management. So from the inception, this was an ERP. After that award in 2003, other developers began noticing it and expressing interest to assist in development. At that point, a gentleman called Laurent Distailer, it's a French name. The key is to know Laurent. It seems a bit easier. He came on board. He is also known for developing AWS Stats Log Analyzer. So he came in December 2003 and he took over a majority of development, freeing Rodolfo, even though Rodolfo is still the initial developer of the process. And remember, up to this time, this project is not, we're in 2003. We're talking of Laurent Distailer coming in December 2003. The project has not, at this particular point, shifted to GitHub. They are still, it is still saved in CVS on Savannah. So CVS, as I said, is a way of managing the source code. So it is what is called a concurrent version system. Basically the same way GitHub works. So later in June 2005, another developer came in to assist Laurent, and he was called Regis Housin. He joined the effort and became another key contributor. The two developers now at this point, Laurent and Regis Housin, even though they were helped by other external developers, became the pivotal players in shaping Dolibarr. And in September 2011, the project source code was moved from CVS to GitHub, opening up contribution from other developers. So currently, the project is being led by Laurent Distailer. He has been the leader since 2008. Dolibarr continues to evolve with contributions from diverse community members, freelancers, and enthusiasts. So the project's lines of code has since steadily evolved to the point that now what we are reviewing as we speak is version 19. At the time of recording of this video, we are on version 19. So I'm going to comment on issues that are making me want to review the ERP Dolibarr. As you can see, let me just log in so that I can speak when I'm already on the system. A very simple login page. So when you log in, you're met with a very simplistic yet complicated dashboard in terms of functionality. So what happens? Dolibarr is anchored on modules. It works on modules. And when you log in on the right hand side, if you're an administrator, you will see setup and admin tools. You also see tab on users, and by default you're on the dashboard. At the very top on the header is where you see home, as in many applications they will have a home page. That is where you'll have your dashboard. Then you'll have, after that, you'll have the various modules that you have enabled. So normally Dolibarr has categorized various modules according to functionalities and use cases. And let us click on setup and go to setup modules and applications. At the very top of these modules, what you see is HR, human resource management, where you have users. This is where you manage your users, members of a foundation. You remember I said the second member of this particular Dolibarr group was Jean-Louis Bergamo, who started the foundation management module, and that is back in around 202, 203. Because you remember I said version 1 was released in 203. So the mark of Jean-Louis Bergamo, even though it has been well advanced at this particular point, you can see they began with the HR module. What he began writing is in HR. The members, foundation members management. I believe this was the first, among the first modules. So what I've done, if you've noticed, I've enabled the members module. You can see that the other module is leave management. We have expense reports. We have recruitment. We have HRM. So when you hover on a particular module, it will give you a highlight of what happens in that particular module. So like HRM, as you can tell, is human resource management. Deals with management of departments, employee contracts, skill management, interviews, all those kind of things related to HR. But by and large, the 6 modules that I have just mentioned, those are domiciled under HR use case. Scrolling down, I said when I began, it was an ERP that had a customer relationship management module, a CRM. Most of the times you'll see CRM systems seated on their own, but in Dolibarr, they found it necessary to bring the integration, the connectivity between a CRM and an ERP into one system for seamless integration. So the CRM is what will onboard your third parties. Most of the time, a business might have existing customers, but from then on, anyone else who is coming in, a potential lead, someone who is giving a business a proposal, those are potential third parties, and they are onboarded using the CRM. So you can see from the CRM we have third parties where you manage contacts, customers, prospects, etc. You have proposals, you have sales orders, you have shipment, contracts, and subscriptions. Yes, you can run your subscription business based on this, especially if you're a consultant. If you're a consultant who have customers who subscribe to your services, then you'll use the CRM module. You have to activate that, right? And activating, you can see most of the modules will be disabled. You have to activate them. So when they turn green, you know you have activated that. So you have interventions, you have tickets, you have knowledge management. It is not as robust as in other systems that we will discuss in regards to knowledge management, but it does a pretty good job at it to manage institutional knowledge. And knowledge, these are skills or insights or facts that are gained due to experience or education. So institutional-wise, knowledge management, the importance of knowledge management cannot be overstated. So that is a module under CRM. Also partnerships and management. You can see we have that. It's a pretty robust customer relationship management system. Then we have vendor relationship management. Vendors, you see, you have graduated now the relationship between a customer to someone who is supplying your business, uh, whether it's a service or goods or raw materials. So you have a dedicated vendor relationship management system. It's a module on its own with various submodules, vendors, a database of vendors, and the way and the transactions that vendors carry out. Probably, not probably, actually, purchase orders, billing of suppliers, supplier invoices. So vendor commercial proposals. We have receptions. We have intercoms. If you want to manage uh, intercoms on your farm, on your farm. Then we have financial module. This is quite huge, and they have really done a good job on this. You can see you have invoices. You can manage invoices, and even credit notes, taxes, and expenses. It's a huge module. Salaries, loans, donations. You can see the element of foundations. Still now you're talking about the NGO space, the non-governmental agency space. You have banks and cash. You have payments by payments by credit transfer, payments by direct debit. You have margins, basically profits. And imagine in a business, you look at it at the price you're offering a service or you're selling a good minus your cost. So it's the price, selling the selling price less the cost. So it gives you an analysis. In fact, I will even demonstrate later if I have time. When you are doing a point of sale and you have various terminals, you are able to drill down and look at the margins you are getting from each terminal or the margins you get from a particular customer, right? It really does a very good job at reporting and analyzing the kind of information you'd want, and even margins over time. For example, you want to know over the period of January, this is the kind of margin I made. In February, this is the kind of margins I made. That terminal A made this particular margin this time last year. So what has caused it to drop? You can deduce your conclusions. You can try to seek trends given data. Then the other thing is simple accounting and accounting double entry. So we can scroll down and see the other modules what Dolibarr has to offer. Under product management, you have products, you have services, you have stock. And the stock is where you do really your inventory management per se. You have product lots, you have product variants, you have bills of material. And in fact, when you look at uh, manufacturing, once you start getting to the territory of bill of materials, manufacturing resource, workstations, then it begins making sense. So when we talk of functionalities that are integrated by an ERP, and one of them being manufacturing, then you know what we're talking about. You start having a clear picture, even before we delve into uh, this particular functionality. You can tell that Dolibarr is able to handle that. Then the other thing is project management. Not many ERPs come custom fitted with a project management module. You have to go now to another open source tool or paid tool for managing your projects. And the interesting bit is that you have manufacturing that goes hand in hand with project management. In fact, if you want to track costs, if you want to track margins, if you want to track time, Dolibarr allows you. And in fact, for us as Gumzo Media, we are tracking our projects using the project management. a bit, but there are some elements that I feel once we come to discussing Dolibarr module by module, I'll be able to explain the pros and cons or areas of improvements. And some of us in Gumza, we are also developers, and we're looking at seriously trying to push PRs, trying to see whether they can be accepted. And we are going to also assist, since it's an open source project, we are going to assist and try to see whether they can consider our help in development. Yeah, the other thing is under project management, you have event organization, you have events, you have agenda, you have resources, and then you have electronic content management, a document management system. It's pretty basic, but I mean, it works in an ERP if it comes off the cuff. There are other ERPs that really you have to onboard. You do some serious integration between. For example, I know an ERP by a very large company. I'll just mention it, Microsoft. You have to integrate with SharePoint, right? But for this, it comes baked into the ERP. That's a blast. That's a serious integration off the cuff. Then the other thing, multimodal tools. These are tools that can be used across various modules in Dolibarr. You have WYSIWYG editor. This is what allows you now to edit text as you want. You want to underline, you want to bold, you want to italize, you want to do a list. That editor, similar to what you would see in an advanced text editor, that is there. It's powered by CK editor. If you're a developer, you might know CK editor that you can bring in on your projects. Then you have tags and categories. This is for products, for point of sale. Categories are quite useful. If, for example, you're running, let's say, a pharmaceutical pharmacy business, and you want to cluster drugs. For example, you have painkillers, you have antihistamines. You can cluster them. You can categorize drugs, right, and use the same on your point of sale module. So you have multi-currency, ability to use different currencies. Um, you have an RSS feed. You have bookmarks and shortcuts, barcodes. This is probably for retail actually. You have intermodal workflows when you do a particular task here, if it fulfills certain conditions, then triggers another module somewhere. So those are workflows. Data imports. You can be able to bulk import data into Dolibarr. You have data exports, the opposite of that. Module builder for developers. Then you have websites and other front door applications. You can design polls in your enterprise and share them to each employee. If you are a foundation and you need your members who are not users of the system to participate in a poll, you are able to allow them to participate in a poll. You can create public-facing websites within Dolibarr. We have the Tech POS. It's a feature that really impressed me. Point of sale. They can run a supermarket. Then there are things, but I don't think they are major to-dos. Needs to have features. They're good to have though. We can look at them. The social networks, basically links that embed social networks to your application, notifications on businesses. This is critical. Mass emailing. Again, I'll go back to a foundation. An enterprise that has a lot of employees, you can be able to mass email them. Email collector, right? Then you have API and web services. If you need to extend the ERP or even introduce a mobile client. Like for us, we were testing this feature and it enables us to get every major functionality on Dolibarr on a mobile client. Then LDAP, if you use Active Directory, instead of creating users manually, you can enable them to authenticate into Dolibarr using LDAP protocol. Then you have OAuth, external sites, GeoIP, MaxMind. PayPal is a gateway, a payment gateway. Stripe is a payment gateway. Click to Dial is an integration for phones. One-click printing solution. Receipt printer, you can configure that. Mailman is an emailing solution. Gravatar, Gravatar is an avatar solution. If your users do not have photos, then this system can get placeholders, so to speak, for them. Web Dev Server is file server management, and then we have webhooks. These are basically a facility that captures information based on events, right? So the other thing, system based schedule jobs. Normally, a business user will not be interested so much in these. These are more of the technical power users, the debug bar, the debug logs, most for developers. But what I would be interested in for a business user is human resource, CRM, vendor relationship, financial modules, product management module, project and collaborative work, then electronic content management for knowledge management teams. Then the other thing would be multi-currency for finance, and barcodes are critical for retail, and tech POS. So if you own a restaurant or you own a retail store, then tech POS would be, it's really powerful. In fact, we will take time to do a demo on it. But ladies and gentlemen, for us, out of 10, I'll give Dolibarr as an open source solution a 9 out of 10. They have tried so much for the 5 points that we mentioned at the beginning. They have tried so much in terms of encompassing what you could envision in an ERP. This is something that is online. You can see we have hosted it on our domain, erp.gumzosystems.com, and we can still do it for you and even offer support. You don't have to spend, if you're a business that's beginning, this is something you can look at. Dolibarr, it's such a useful and powerful software that is free to use, to customize. In fact, the only area that Dolibarr earns money from is in terms of hosting it as a service. If you wanted them to host for you, or you bought applications from the external modules. So, but off the back, I feel it's a really strong tool depending on your use case. So you can have a look at it, try to see whether it fits your use case. Whether you're a firm with employees, you'd want to manage your HR issues. You're a foundation, you'd want to manage your donors. This is your manufacturing firm. You want to manage manufacturing, shipments, contracts, subscriptions, taxes, invoicing, loans that you've taken as a business, banks, yeah, to reconcile your banking transactions. So for us, it's a real serious ERP, and we will be probably taking it apart module by module, trying to see what it has to offer. And you can rest assured that it's a complete solution. It's a complete solution that you can rely on when you're starting out your business for any size of enterprise. I feel Dolibarr could work. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to talk about the architecture of Dolibarr. And Dolibarr is a tool that is written in PHP, and they have deliberately gone for a PHP framework. There are advantages with using frameworks, because off the cuff, off right off the bat, they give you a structure. And Dolibarr, they decided to go for a PHP framework. I don't know initially what they were using, but the technology is PHP. They support the databases that they recommend are relational databases such as MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL. In fact, incidentally, uh, you remember we were talking about the founder, or the individual, the developer who started Dolibarr, Rodolfo. If you looked him up, he's um, he's a Postgres expert. Yeah. So for me, I feel the changes that they have made in terms of web systems performance, those are right technologies. PHP is one of the most rampant languages in terms of web applications. So they rely on relational databases. For web servers, I can speak of three servers that I have hosted Dolibarr on. Number one would be Apache. Number two, which I prefer, would be Nginx because of uh, multi-threading and actually ensuring concurrency works properly. For me, I would go for Nginx. In terms of even how you can easily configure security, Nginx would be my go-to. And I've also tried it on IIS. IIS is pretty straightforward. I was amazed. You can run it as you can run PHP as a CGI, as a fast CGI, and you'll be able to get up and running quickly if you use Windows servers. I mentioned libraries, and I said it's on Symfony framework. For the front end, I would say I've seen bits of Bootstrap, bits of JavaScript, jQuery, but I wouldn't be so sure on the kind of JavaScript that they have used. But I've seen jQuery, I've seen CSS that looks like bootstrappy. Um, for integrations, this is very nice. For me, an ERP that you can fit into a mobile client, that's a major, major, major plus, right? So the only thing you need to do is to enable web services and download. For Android, I can speak for Android. You are able to download the Android client and point it to your URL where you have hosted Dolibarr, and you log in using credentials that you have set on the main application. Um, so by and large, I would want to comment on the philosophy. And number one would be community. Dolibarr fosters a vibrant community of users, developers, translators, uh, other roles, enabling easy access and support uh, within the community. Support is critical. No matter which software you're doing, support in software is critical. Without support, then no one will understand what's going on, how to use the software. So for me, the community-centric approach is top-notch. The other thing is flexibility. Users have uh, the option to customize the system to include only features they need, ensuring optimal experience tailored to their specific requirements. The other thing is affordability. Being open source developer eliminates licensing costs. For me, that's key. That's where the major value add for open source comes in. No charging the user for using the software. You'd rather charge them for hosting it, for support, development of new capabilities, customizing, but not for using the core system. So this makes it an affordable solution for businesses of all sizes. Then scalability, well, designed for SMEs, Dolibarr is scalable and can accommodate growth as a business expands. The other thing I don't have to uh, overstate it, it's open source. This is the number one principle. Dolibarr is built on top of open source principles, fostering transparency You can change whatever you don't like on Dolibarr. You can customize. You have the permission to go into the code and comment something and add a functionality. Get your team to change something. Appreciate how Dolibarr has been written and customize it. And that's why I even spoke of the technology stack, so that if you know people who appreciate PHP, people who know a thing or two about databases, relational databases, you are free to go and modify, customize um, the solution because it's open source. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would want to just mention a couple of use cases, and I will begin by saying, as an ERP, you are it amazes me that you can do customer relations. It comes with a fully fledged CRM onboarded on it. As a small business, you can manage things like accounting, invoicing, customer relations, as I said, efficiently in a single platform. That is critical. You will not get an ERP and then go and try to integrate it with a CRM. No, it's an ERP with a CRM. That we need to say. Then for freelancers, you can track projects. You saw the project management feature. You can manage clients, create invoices seamlessly. For consulting firms, you can track inventory, process orders, manage customers interactions effectively. For nonprofits, you can handle donations, memberships, and track expenses. For retails and for retail and hospitality, uh, you saw it comes equipped with a fully fledged POS. So, ladies and gentlemen, um, to to wind up, I would say Dolibarr provides a holistic solution for managing various aspects of business operations, from accounting to finance to CRM. Its modular architecture allows businesses to tailor their software to their specific use cases or their specific needs. The other thing is the active community and regular updates and sharing. We are now on version 19. You can remember that they did version 1. Was it in 2 or 3? Yes, version 1 was released in September 2 or 3, and they have been consistent in releasing features through and through. Um, and basically, in a in a summary, I would say it's a versatile open source solution that empowers businesses to efficiently manage their operations, enhance customer relations, and benefit from supportive user community. For us, it's about open source. We will never review. Let me not say we will never, but we will mostly review software that are making waves in the open source community. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your time. If you feel this content is helpful to you and can help you pivot towards open source, please don't forget to give us a shout out, a word of encouragement, and appreciate us. Thank you for your time. Be blessed.